Hello and welcome back to the Women Making Herstory series. I am your host today, Nancy Matthews. I'm one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network, and all throughout this month, we are bringing you interviews with amazing and extraordinary visionary women who go for more in such a way that creates a huge impact and a ripple effect, and they do it from a place of service and heart. And all those words I just used so describe our guest today, Wendy Lipton Dibner. I am so grateful you're here, my friend. Thank you for making time.
Oh, Nancy, are you kidding? Anything you do, I'm there with you. I love everything you and your sisters do.
It's so fun that we get to play together and work together, and then between our two communities, we attract really the best of the best.
We do.
It's so good. It's so good. So before we continue our little love fest, I want to make sure our audience understands who is with you today and sharing about how she's making herstory. Wendy Lipton Dibner, MA, is a social researcher by training and entrepreneur by choice. An internationally recognized authority on impact strategy, Wendy has built 10 multi-million-dollar retail and service businesses of her own, and helped thousands of Fortune, healthcare, entrepreneurial, and nonprofit organizations increase revenues exponentially by making a measurable difference on every life they touch. She has touched millions of lives through 5 best-selling books, world-class speaking engagements, sold-out live events, popular media appearances, and online training programs. In addition to her work as president and CEO of Professional Impact and Impact Resources, Wendy has presented at the United States Senate and serves as a trusted advisor and mentor to top influencers, executives, and impact-driven entrepreneurs worldwide. Forbes calls Wendy's strategies the secret to success in business, and Inc. describes her focus on impact strategic map as your path to profitable success. We are with a world-class, world-renowned leader and mentor. I am so grateful to have you in my corner, in my world, and bringing some value to our audience today. Thank you so much.
Oh, my dear friend Nancy, it is really a privilege to be with you here. I love what you're doing this month of the most perfect celebration of women. I mean, people do it for a day, people do it for a week. Leave it to you to do it for 31 days. I love it.
Well, and I could probably do this every day all year long, because what you and I both know is that everyone is making an impact. Every woman really is making herstory. And part of what I love about the work you do is shifting that focus to creating results based upon impact. So talk about that positioning, if you would, please.
Sure, absolutely, and thank you. The most important revelation, I think, of my career has been that, yes, we all make a difference in our lives and hopefully through our businesses. The challenge is, can we make it something that is measurable and marketable? So that when we go in to work with one person through coaching, or with thousands in an auditorium, or dozens in a consulting training situation, whatever it is that we're looking to do with our message and with our books and with our work, is it our intention that what we do will last beyond us? I think our jobs are to put ourselves out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
So can we have one contact with someone and make it that they will move the needle, that they will then be able to do something that they've never done before? That's my whole thing.
Is your whole thing. And when I hear you talk about measuring and marketing and all those pieces, the business side of impact, I think that 2 things can happen. One, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. But if you don't really know what that is, you can actually get, not only will your bank account not reflect it, but your spirit might not reflect it. You could get tired of trying, but you don't have tools to measure that impact, right?
Right, exactly. We have to know what is the difference that we want to make. So when we talk about impact, for me, there's a very clear definition, right? It's the measurable difference we make in people's lives as the direct result of contact with us, with our team, if we have one, certainly with our marketing, with our products and our services. And the key word is, can we measure it? Is it behavioral? Can we actually see a difference from when we met to the next day, let alone the next decade, and the ripple that goes from there?
So I work with lots of coaches, life coaches, energy healers, people that work on what are often referred to as soft skills. And a challenge that I've seen with them is they don't know how to measure it in terms of an ROI. So let's talk about this, strategically. We're going to drill down a moment, because how do you let people know what your impact is when it's something that occurs as intangible?
A beautiful question. Thank you for that. I think let's first talk about how to identify it, and then we can talk about how to measure it. People, because we shared that we love serving the soft service people, because that is one of the biggest differences you can make. And at the same time, it's so hard to think of it as a business because they're too busy focusing on the people, which is what gets me, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the question is, if you were to float yourself up in a bubble and look down on the people that you want to serve, and if you could magically somehow watch them, right, for weeks at a time, and they didn't know you were there, what would you see? What would you hear? What are they doing? What are they saying that tells you they need your help in the first place? When you can actively note, here's what they're doing and here's what they're not doing, and here is the look I see on their face and in their body, and I can actively see. Then, if you were then able to fast forward and you have now served them to the best of your ability, and you get back in the bubble and you again look at these people, what's different? How are they behaving different? How do they look different? How do they sound different? What are they saying that's different? Once you're very clear on what you want to see the change to be, more than they feel better, how do you know without them having to tell you that they feel better? When you can see that you can code and you can put into a measurable instrument that you can literally compare from before to after. Once you have those metrics figured out, and this is easy, you then just say, okay, this is the impact that I've made with these 5,000 people. And now I'm here to do it for you.
Love that. Rewind, everybody, and go back and listen to this, because the process of giving yourself space to actually get into the mind and heart of who it is that you want to serve, observing what they're going through, then you could look down and go, oh, I wish you knew this, because then you'd have that, right? What's those blanks that you could fill in for them?
Exactly. Yeah. What are the behaviors you see? Because behaviors are measurable.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like, in drilling it down to something practical. So let's say you are a life coach, and before you is a client who wants to make $100,000 by serving, 50 people this year, something like that. And you give them advice and they don't pick up the phone and make follow-up phone calls. There's something internal that you as a life coach can work on to release them to be able to take that next step. Exactly. So you got to look at all the behaviors of what's going on, and then you can shift.
Right. So one of the most classic situations where we see people getting in their own way and not doing what needs to be done is to look at how they're carrying themselves. Again, remember, you can't ask them that. So they wouldn't have told you that if you're in your bubble, right? So if you look at their life as a life coach and you see what they're doing, and you see they get up every morning and they're dragging around the house and they're not really getting much done and they're not even brushing their hair, the question becomes, is that a pattern or is it a day off? And so you begin to look for the patterns. And if the patterns are a lack of energy and a lack of productiveness and a lack of ritual or consistency or habit, or maybe they have too many habits and some of those habits need to change, but you're the one as a life coach who gets to say, from my perspective of what people need, here's what I'm seeing that they're doing that's likely getting in their way. And here's what I'm seeing that they're not doing that's keeping them from having what they want and getting what they want and being what they'd love to be and frankly need to be in order to achieve what they want.
Right.
I can see that, I can measure it, and therefore I can market it. I can help them see it themselves when they make the change. So not only do they feel good about the ROI they got with me, but they can talk about this now to other people, which of course increases the repeat referrals. It's all about measurement.
Yeah, so good, so good. I want to switch gears for a moment. And I know you have extensive experience in corporate speaking engagements, training, and as you were describing the process of observing, measuring, and saying, here's what I can bring you, the same thing would apply to corporate.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other suggestions for someone who wants to get in and provide more training, resources, and value in corporate? Is there anything particular that they should be looking for as a way to bring services to corporate?
Yeah, absolutely. And corporate healthcare and nonprofit. So let's expand it, right? Small business, corporate healthcare, nonprofit, anywhere where you have an organization that has an infrastructure and a team and people that you can help. So that way we can hit more people who are listening. Okay. Yeah. Here's the good news, and this is actually really good news. It's easier in that environment doing what we're describing than it is one-to-one. In that environment, what you've got first and foremost in terms of getting yourself hired is the ability to be able to stalk people online, to be able to actually literally get in this bubble, right? Metaphorically, to get in a bubble where you're not seen because you're virtual and you're actually looking in at them and saying, okay, I'm reading your blogs, I'm reading your LinkedIn, I'm seeing how you behave in public, but I'm also stalking you on some of the lesser, more personal social networks, right? Facebook, Instagram, looking at your life and seeing how you are and what you're doing. And now I'm collecting patterns because you're not the only one who's doing it. In fact, everyone in your niche of industry is doing that too, which is likely, right? Because we all attract to certain industries and we can find patterns in there. So the beauty of all of this, Nancy, is that we can use what we know about the impact that we believe we can bring to people to then learn about them before we spend a penny on marketing, before we put ourselves into the world in a way that isn't authentic with who we are and isn't a match for who they are. Now we have to start looking at, okay, I know the impact I want to bring. I know how I'm going to measure it. I know how I'm going to change people's lives, and I know what the change is. And I can talk about it more effectively that way.
So good. So good. I love your ability to just bring things down to the obvious, like the answers are hiding in plain sight.
Right. Exactly. This isn't rocket science. It's only that I've spent 45 years figuring this out.
Yes.
That's the only difference.
Yes. So good. So good. All right. Well, and I'm sure all of our viewers are going to want to connect with you. I'm going to share with you how you can stay in touch with Wendy and get her gift in just a moment. Before we go there, so everybody's telling me, who is a woman in history that had a big impact or influence in your life?
So I knew you were going to ask, obviously, and I'm going to cheat and pick two because one is fast and one is real. So the one that's fast is Barbara Streisand. Because, as you well know, when I was 11 years old, I heard her sing and in a movie, and I burst into tears. And all I knew was that she had something that she had done that, without ever knowing me or touching me, she had somehow affected me so profoundly, and I knew I wanted to do that too. So that was the first piece.
I got goosebumps.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I get goosebumps remembering it.
Well, and you know what's interesting, because you probably know that I'm a huge fan of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Yeah.
And people will say to me, oh, you want to marry him? I'm like, it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
When I can watch him impact the lives of 50,000 people in an auditorium, that's what gets me. It's the same thing.
Right, exactly.
It's the same thing. Oh,
exactly. You know, how can you have such an effect on strangers?
Yeah.
And make them no longer strangers.
Yes.
That is profound. So that started when I was 11. When I was 18, it was, or 17, anyway, my freshman year of college, whenever that was, I was in an apartment with 3 other women who I had been put with. We were all roommates. And the women didn't like me because I was Jewish. And I didn't know this. All I knew was that one morning I woke up and there were hate messages on the bathroom mirror.
Oh, wow.
And this kept up all semester long. And I didn't tell my mom because I was afraid she'd make me come home. And I wanted to stay out of the house, right? I wanted this apartment. So I cried my way through my first semester. And when I went home for the holidays, the last night of vacation, I started crying and I couldn't hold it anymore. And I didn't want to go back. And I just sort of gritted my teeth and waited for her to say, you know, okay, we're putting you in the dorm. That's it. You're not living with these women. But that's not what she did. Nancy, what my mom did that changed my life was she put her hands on my face and she said, Wendy, if you don't like it, change it. She empowered me with such wisdom to say something that said, you know what, we don't have to live with what we have. We can do something effective. And she left it to me to know what that was. And the beauty that I came to believe and see is that if we give people tools, if we give them wisdom, if we give them concrete steps, they can affect change. And if we really show them how, they can affect it faster. So she changed my life and the lives of many, many others that she helped after that.
Wow, that is beautiful. Empowerment, pulling out that which was inside of you, and she trusted. So she didn't say change it and do X, Y, Z. True empowerment is letting somebody know you can do it. You've got what it takes. And yeah, maybe as a coach or a consultant, take a look at these things, but you are the one that's going to do it. You are the one.
That's right. And you've been preaching you're the one for as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
And what we need to remember, especially if we want to have an influence on many, many people, is that we really don't know what's right for other people. We only know what's been right for us and for some of the people that we've helped. But if we can give people the platform to help elevate them, whatever that means, and then help them to figure out what their unique gift is, you know, what is their unique impact, and maybe we're the voice that they heard when they didn't hear anyone else's. That's my interpretation of your one. You know, it's being the one who goes out and says, I believe in you. I know that you have it in you. And I think that's what women do better than anyone, is we go out there and we help people know that we believe in them and that we care about them, and then we give them whatever help we can.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Is that your puppy I hear?
Yes. He wants to say hello.
Hello, beautiful. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Parfait is, as you well know, getting older. Yeah. And so one of the things that he's teaching me right now is patience at times when in the past I might not have had them. But he's got dementia and I've got to help him with this because I love him. And so this is what we do as women, I think, really, really well.
That's agreed. There's so many things you do well. Oh, thank you for this time together. And all of you out there watching, listening, get in touch with Wendy. And she's got something really special that she's put together for you. So go ahead and describe that. And the button's right there for you to grab it.
Awesome. Thanks. So yes, I am so excited, you guys. I haven't shared this with a lot of people in some time, but this is the actual beginning to the movement that I started many years ago. And what it is a 4-video series where nothing is being sold but a way of thinking. It's called the Action Movement, and it is a movement for people who are driven to make an impact in the world through their business. And if that's you, then I would really encourage you to watch these videos. They're all about how to see the impact that you were born to bring the world and expand it and refine it and define it and continually do that in a way that will really move you. So the videos are free to you. Again, nothing is being sold. All you have to do is agree to make a measurable difference in people's lives with the information you got. And then it's all yours, and you can grab that by clicking that little button just below.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you probably more than you may realize. So
back to you, my love. And please kiss your sisters for me, okay?
I will do that. All right. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Women Making Herstory. Be sure to check your inbox. We still have a few more coming your way. Amazing women. Click on the link, grab Wendy's amazing gift, and join the movement for Women's Prosperity Network, sharing your herstory everywhere you go. We're here to support that. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time for the next episode of Women Making Herstory. Bye, Wendy.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.